Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video we'll go over how to implement a basic Ansible playbook. This video will help you prepare for the RHCE certification test for version 8.4. As you can see on my screen, I have a series of steps um, that are required to complete this playbook. So let's get started. So like I said, implementing a playbook. Uh, the checklist. In this lab, you will configure and perform administrative tasks on a managed host using a playbook. And the outcome should be you should be able to construct and execute a playbook to install and configure, verify the status of a web and database services on the target host or the managed host. So we'll start with step one. Basically, it says to create the necessary entries for the first play, name enable internet services and specify its intended managed host, which for this test will target server B. Adding entry to enable privilege escalation and one to initiate the task list. Okay. Yeah, I have a typo in here. So okay, so on the left side, we'll be using Vim to create the playbook. So we'll start, like I said, with step one. Well, actually, I should probably show you what I'm using here. Ansible version. I'm using Ansible Core 2.14. And here's my configuration files. Okay, and we'll view host. So as you can see, I have in my inventory host file, I have my local host and I have 4 different servers A through D, and we're going to be targeting server B for this example. All right, so let's get started. So we'll go playbooks. I guess we can name is lab1.yaml. So we'll start creating the playbook itself. Name, and again, step one states to name it enable internet services. So we'll name it that. Enable internet services. Host. We're going to target server. Did I say server B? We'll go with server A. Server A. I'm not sure if server B is fully configured yet. We need to make sure that we become root, so we're going to enable that and create a task. Okay, so at this point we can start with step number 2. Let's see what it says. Add the required entries to define a task that installs the latest version of FirewallD, HTTPD, MariaDB server, PHP, and PHP MySQL ND packages. Okay. This is a very basic playbook. There's other ways to do this. You can create variables and different ways will make it a lot easier and cleaner to do, but since we're going to stick with the basic right now, I'm going to do it this way for now. Just watch. So we'll do install require packages. We'll do Ansible built-in yum. You can also just do. You can also just call the yum module. However, once you start using different modules that are not built in from Ansible, it's a good practice to specify what you're using. So I always like to use Ansible built-in, so I know it's from the built-in modules that come with Ansible when you install it. Okay, so we need to name the packages that we need, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's create that. Firewall D, HTTP, HTTPD, yep. Maria DB server. Then we have PHP, PHP MySQL ND, and it states to have the latest version. So we're going to do state latest. Okay, so that's step number 2. So number 3, it says ensure firewall D service is enabled and running, and that access to HTTP service is allowed. So that's basically 2 tasks for step number 3. Okay. So first we need to enable and start firewall D. Enable and start firewall D. For this we need to use the service module. Ansible built-in service. And what is the name? Obviously, we want to enable firewall D. We want state to be set to started and enable true. So basically, this is starting the firewall D service, and it's going to enable it so that it starts by itself when you reboot the machine. Okay, so part 2 of step 3 says to allow access to the HTTP service using firewall D. Okay. So allow access to HTTP service. For this, we're going to use the Ansible built-in firewall D module. Yep, we're going to specify the name, HTTPD. I'm sorry, HTTP. We want to enable, right? I'm sorry, it's not name, it's service. I always forget this. Let me just double check real quick. This is one of the good things about Ansible. There's a very useful documentation. Firewall D. So we want to do examples. Okay, so we want service. Okay, so here's a good example. Service, permanent true, enable, state enable. All right, so we'll go with that. Okay, so that should take care of that one. So now step 4, enable and start HTTPD and MariaDB. So this would be 2 tasks. Enable and start HTTPD. So basically this is pretty much identical to what we did for firewall D. Ansible built-in service name HTTPD state started enable true, and we'll do the same for, which one is it? MariaDB. Enable and start MariaDB. Ansible built-in service MariaDB update started. I have a typo over here. Excuse me. We need to enable the service, set that to true, and I think that's all that is required for step 4. So we'll go to step 5. It says generate web content for testing. Okay, use the copy module to copy files, index.php to var www html on the managed host. So I already have that file in here. You can see it's under files and index.php file. So we need to copy that file from here from the control node over to my managed host. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll do copy web content for testing. Ansible built-in copy. Source is going to be Ansible PHP. Destination is going to be var www HTML. Okay, so I think that's all we need for that. Step 6. So it's number 6. Define another play for the test to be performed on the control node. This play will test access to the web server that should be running on server A. This play does not require privilege escalation and will run on the local host. Okay, so basically we want to test the web services on server A from the control node. So we need to create a new play. We're going to name it test access to web server. Our target host is going to be localhost, is this machine. Become false, there's no need to sudo up. And let's create a task. I think it says number 7, add a task that tests the web service running on server B from the control node using the URI mode. Check for a return status code of 200. Okay. So it says to use the URI module. Ansible built-in URI. So we're gonna do URL. Should be http // server A alpha omega OB, so that's my fully qualified domain name for the server. We're going to do return content true, and we want the status code of 200. Okay. Verify the syntax of the playbook and execute the playbook. Okay, so I think we are ready. Let me just double check. Let's go to the top. So now it says to verify the syntax. Ansible playbook, playbooks, lab 1, syntax, check. Make sure there's no typos, and I do have a problem here. It says error couldn't resolve module action, so built-in firewall D. These, okay. Line 22. Yep, I do have a typo here built in. And that's why it's always good to check your syntax to make sure there's nothing wrong with the playbook. So now it passes through. And what I also like to do is run the playbook against a target server in check mode, so it doesn't actually apply anything to it, but it will also tell me if there's any other error messages. So we'll run this in check mode. So we're targeting server A. Now it's gonna try to install the required packages. Okay, so that's good. Cannot find the required service firewall D host. Enable and start firewall D. Okay, seems like there's a problem there too. Enable and start firewall D. So what do I have run here? Name, enable, and start firewall D. Ansible, built-in service. Name, hold on. Name, firewall D, state, started. Enable, true. What am I doing wrong? Let's look at the documentation. So, Ansible service. Let's look at examples. Let's start service. So, Ansible built-in service. Started, stopped. Okay, I'm back. I had some issues with server A configuration, but I got it all done. So let's go back to okay. So we completed running the playbook successfully. As you can see, there's two different plays. This is one for server A, our managed host, and the one for the local host. Let's make sure that we can get to the server, the web server. Okay, there's our test web page. And we can also use an ad hoc command with Ansible to look at the index file. Server A, module, command with attributes, cat, var, HTML index.php. Yep, so we can see right here we're targeted server A, and we were able to view what's inside this file on the managed host. And just to double check, we're going to SSH to server A, and we'll do the same thing, cat var HTML index, and there it is. Okay, well, I hope this tutorial was helpful. This is the first one of many more to come. I'm gonna try to go through all the test requirements for the Red Hat Certified Engineer test with Ansible. Hopefully I'm able to explain it in a way that it makes sense If not, if you have any questions or issues, please let me know in the comments, and I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. Thank you and have a blessed day.